remember one time in India, Mama Yeshi was teaching us. He was holding his mala and saying, your new mantra would be, I am the servant of others, I am the servant of others, I am the servant of others. And that we should say that mantra, and more important than saying it, we should try and live that mantra. But in order to do that, we have to get over the other mantra that's going on in our head, which is, it's all about me, it's all about me, it's all about me, it's all about me, it's all about me. It's all about me. And that we are constantly repeating, and that's the perspective we have on life. So I think we have to sit down and really think, which way is it? Is it, it's all about me, or is it, I'm the servant of others? And so which one makes more sense? Which one's more realistic? Which one's more beneficial? And so we have to examine this not just one time, but many, many times. And if we think it's all about us, then no problem. Just keep on where you are. You think that you want to train your mind to be the servant of others, then consider what you need to do to counteract the mind that says it's all about me. You need to think about what the antidotes to it's all about me are. We've had many teachings on them. You need now to think of what those points were and how to apply them. And how to do it with a happy mind. A mind that feels free when you're no one's Valentine. And a mind that feels free when it's not all about you. So with that kind of attitude, we'll listen to teachings on the Bodhisattva. So, I got a note from somebody, and I'm going to kind of outline the points, and then we're going to play a game. So this person was saying that they can't think clearly with steadiness, and they want to be able to say something to the group, but, during the sessions, but when it's their turn, then they can't remember what the point was they wanted to say. They wanted to know how to develop concentration and how to feel more connected with other people, and also how to improve their self-confidence. Okay, so I'm just wondering who wrote this note. So I thought I'd just ask you, we'll just do kind of a show of hands, and maybe I can figure it out. So who of you can't think clearly with steadiness? Okay, look around. Look around, okay. How about when you're in the group and it's your turn to speak, who can't remember what you wanted to say? Okay. Okay. How about who needs to develop more concentration? Oh. Okay. And how about who doesn't feel as connected to other people as you would like to feel? Okay. And who needs to improve their self-confidence or wants to improve their self-confidence? Oh, this is no help at all. I still don't know who wrote this note. Because you all raise your hands. Well, let's see if we can solve this problem together, okay? So, if you can't think clearly, what's the antidote? Oh, now I see why you can't think clearly. Okay, well, let's see. Somebody said purify. Why purify? And purify how? Okay. So doing purification practices really clears away the fogginess for you, and you can see a difference when you later, if you do the practices for a while, not just, a few times, but for a while, then you can see the difference. And you were saying that it depends?
Yeah, also like if it's in that like in a session, for example, if I'm talking and have the clarity of my remember this, then making the visualization really sharp and clear and breathing in the light.
Okay, so you're saying if the fogginess comes in a session, then to try and make your visualization very clear and do the visualization of breathing out the obscurity and breathing in the light, and then trying to make your visualization really right. Yeah. What else? Yeah.
I know, rather than having this week, is that when I think all about me, it mentally drains me, and I can't think about anything else. And so when it comes to doing my practice, I want to generate anesthesia and visualize Vajradhara. I've exhausted my mind because the whole time when I'm not, every moment is thinking about what I need, what's going on. I'm either in the past thinking of stuff, I'm thinking in the future, or what's for lunch, or what's the weather going to look like, and how comfortable am I? So it's all this self-obsession. It's just exhausting with the clarity you can think.
Okay, so you're saying that the clarity of mind comes because you're using your mental energy, going to the past, going to the future, just being filled with all this mental chit-chat of the 8 worldly concerns, so that when it comes to your practice, your mind's already tired. Yeah.
Sometimes I find that I'm too tight on what I'm thinking about, so if I just stop it, let my mind relax, then I can step back and see what it is I'm trying to think about.
Okay. So when your mind gets too, like, I've got to figure this out, I have got to figure this out, that tightness actually makes your mind more obscure, and that you find it's very helpful to just step back and say to yourself, I don't need to figure this out right now, and, just keep it in your mind, but let the answers, the insights come slowly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so looking at the stars, looking at the long distance. Right. Yes, Manjushri mantra. You know, in the monasteries in Asia, when people first get up in the morning, when they're running around, you know, going to brush their teeth, everybody's going over. So, I mean, you should do this wherever you are, and if other people hear you, that's good. It'll remind them to do it, too. But, yeah, do some mantra. Yeah.
And not trying to change what is knowing that it will pass.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so you're saying getting frustrated because you can't think as clearly as you would like actually makes more obscuration. Yes, and you spiral downward. Whereas if you just have some compassion for yourself and some self-acceptance and, you know, and know that that the foggy-mindedness will pass, and that if you do the various practices we've been talking about, you can develop more mental clarity. And then how about the second one? When you are in the group and you want to say something and it's your turn and you can't remember what to say? What your point was? Uh-huh.
It's like I sometimes I know what I'm going to say in Spanish, but with children it's completely different.
Yeah.
Make me that frustration because I want to explain things that in Spanish I know how to say it.
Mm-hmm.
What is the word?
Yeah.
How can I explain?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me a lot of confusion but I think I know that they can understand me. What I'm saying is
Yeah.
It's not so difficult, but the words.
Yeah. So finding the words in English and the language thing can be very hard. But if you relax and you realize that people do understand what you're saying, even if you don't know exactly the right word, and if they don't understand that, they'll ask you, because they really do want to understand.
Most of the time I just like sometimes personal when it was here for Aida.
Mm-hmm.
How can I say?
Yes, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, you just ask for help. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I managed to recall the motivation that made the beneficial of the group and also not just my ego. Then probably I will listen not a little and the situation maybe not important, but
Yeah, okay. So you're saying that part of it depends on your motivation. And if you remember that you really want to say something for the group, then you relax and it comes easier, rather than if you're thinking, oh, this is a meeting, I want to say something really important that impresses everybody. Uh-huh.
What like this last meeting we had to do on Saturday was that it was the first time I took a half an hour walk beforehand, and I took the time to make some notes and, think, like sort out the spaghetti in my mind a little bit, and then I put it aside, and the word you used of relax, somehow I was able to let it go and just be more connected and not worry so much.
Yeah. So that's quite nice that you thought about what you wanted to say at the meeting before, wrote some notes down, and then just relaxed about the whole thing. And then you found that it came out. Yeah. Okay, how about developing concentration? Make the mind joyful? How do you do that? Uh-huh. Okay. So if you sit down and you're kind of in a bad mood, then do some breathing meditation to get yourself in neutral. And then do something that gladdens the mind. Like what? I think. Yeah. You just say make the mind glad, and that helps, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
A lot of imagery in my mind. I'm very happy and just some baby puppies, baby kitties,
Okay, so when your mind's not happy, which is, it distracts you from your meditation, then you think of puppies or kitties or something really adorable, and then that makes your mind, it makes you smile, and it makes you happy. Yeah. Uh-huh.
The more I go back to thinking about the reason for having concentration, and if it's benefits of having a distracted mind, the more easily am I naturally cultivated.
Okay, so for you it works to think about the benefits of having concentration. Then that makes the mind kind of, you want to do it then. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so remembering the teachings. Thank you, Terry. I was wondering if anybody was going to think about that. Remember the teachings you've heard on how to cultivate concentration. Yes. And remember, a little part of it, reflect on it each session. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then what about if you don't feel as connected to other people as you would like to feel? Mm-hmm. Okay, meditate on their kindness. And meditate on your own good qualities. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What else? Yeah. Hmm? Smile. So just smiling helps you. Yeah, that works for me too. Uh-huh.
The four immeasurables?
Yeah, so contemplating the four immeasurables. Yes, don't believe everything you think. Right. So all these thoughts of, I'm not connected, I'm all alone, they're all a group, I'm the one who's left out, I don't know how I fit in. So all those kinds of thoughts, just to not believe them and to realize they're just thoughts, they're not the truth. Yeah.
Connected with holy beings,
Oh. Okay, so doing visualizations and connecting with holy beings helps you to open your heart to even the people around you. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Yeah, so not taking things so personally and maybe not reading things into small things that aren't there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But don't think that to connect to somebody, it has to be this dramatic something. But, sometimes just a small thing, doing a small thing for somebody, or just a smile, or just some small thing can be a real, bring a real feeling of connection. Mm-hmm.
Focusing on both my own and the other person's feelings and needs.
Yeah, focusing on your own and the other's feelings and needs. Yep, it's a good way to get connected to people.
Finding love refuge and over and over again.
Uh-huh.
And also remembering that we all just want happiness.
Okay, so reciting the refuge and bodhicitta prayer again and again, and thinking about it, and remembering that we all want happiness and don't want to suffer, and we're exactly alike in that way. Remember that we're among Bodhisattva, and they want to love. Yeah. So remembering that you are with really kind people. Yeah. Yeah. That you're not in a hostile environment, that you are with people who are kind, so that if you, open the door a little bit, a lot's going to come in. Yeah, that nobody wants to hurt you. Yep. And that nobody's pushing you away. And how about improving your self-confidence?
My self-talk and recognize when I'm behaving myself or being harsh.
Okay, so looking at the self-talk that's going on in your mind, and if you're sitting there putting yourself down, criticizing yourself, telling yourself you're no good, to push the stop button on that. Mm-hmm.
Also looking at our good qualities.
Yeah. Yeah, so self-acceptance and giving yourself credit for what you've done and seeing your good qualities and seeing the changes that you've made. Yeah. Instead of this, the glass is half empty all the time, the glass is half full. Instead of, but there's this one spot on the wall. It's like, well, but the whole rest of the wall is beautiful. Uh-huh.
And then taking that recognition of the quality to the fullest limit of the Buddha potential.
Okay, and so bringing that, our good qualities, remembering we have the Buddha potential. Yeah. Yeah, something?
Also looking at the opportunity that we have as all the third practicing in meditation, but really focusing on the opportunity right here, right now.
Right.
Knowing that we come from nowhere.
Yeah.
And Bodhisattva can go to nowhere.
Right. Right. So recognizing, your precious human life, but also the specific situation and opportunity you have now, and that it came from causes that we ourselves created, which means we've done a lot. We've created a lot of virtue, and we should feel some confidence because of that. Mm-hmm.
Dedicated. It's a little different, I guess, than giving credit for the changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dedicating. Yeah.
Rejoicing in the qualities of other people instead of comparing.
Okay, so instead of comparing yourself to others, rejoicing in others' good qualities, and rejoicing in your own too. But stop the whole comparison trip. Yeah. Okay, well, whoever it was who wrote this note, I think there's a lot of the wisdom in this room, and you guys have kind of answered the questions. And it's on the tape now, too. How many of you are satisfied with the progress you're making? And how many of you wish, how many of you wish that you just make more progress quicker? Yeah, that you know, it's that you're frustrated because you think you should be progressing faster. Yeah. Yeah. It's like I've been doing this. I mean, I've said 50,000 already, and there should be some change. Yeah, and I've sat here on this cushion for 2.5 months already. What's the story? Yeah, and I've been studying Lam Rim for, however long it is. How come I'm not getting it more? How many of you are get into that state where you're just like, I wish it were all going faster, It should go faster. By now. Yes, of course, by now. Forget that I've had these imprints in my mind since beginningless time. Forget the fact that I've cultivated these bad habits for infinite lifetimes. I've been meditating now for, a few months or a few years. I mean, at least I should have realized path of accumulation by now. Yeah. I mean, they say enlightenment in one lifetime. That's the advertisement. I want it. How many of you sometimes get frustrated and it's like, I just wish things were going better already. So I'm giving a talk in, where is it? Oh, in Portland. That's called, I Want to Be Enlightened by Tuesday. And the subtitle is Learning Patience on the Path. Because I think we all get into that mental state of, I've been doing this already, and why aren't I getting the results? Yes, I believe in cause and effect, so I've been doing it. Where are the results? It's like I did the meditation on patience 3 whole times. Why am I still angry? And I've studied the whole thing about how to develop concentration. How come I can't concentrate? Yeah. So this is kind of our Western consumer mind. Yeah. Our Western mind that wants everything to happen quickly. We don't want to wait. Yeah. We're good consumers. When there's a product, we want it, and we want it now. And whoever it is should be able to provide it for us, because we're entitled to it. And we've made our effort to get it. So we have this mind that, just is very, very impatient. Yeah. And, like even this, we went over some antidotes to this. So people might go back and practice one of the antidotes, 5, 10 times even, and then say, but it doesn't work. Do you think, meditating on something 5 or 10 times is going to change habits from beginningless time? Yeah. I wasn't at this particular teaching, but I heard about it for many times. It was in Los Angeles. And, was a Q&A time, and the question to His Holiness was, what's the quickest way to get enlightened? And His Holiness heard the question, and he started to cry. And then he said, that people are just looking for the quickest way. They have no, that we've got to cultivate endurance, and we've got to practice for a long time. And he told the story of Milarepa, and Rinpoche, when Rinpoche was leaving, he asked Jetsun Mela, kind of, what's your last instruction for me so I can get enlightened quickly? And Jetsun Mela lifted up his cloth and showed him the calluses on his rear. That's all he did. Yeah. So the message is, you've got to practice. I mean, how do you get calluses on your rear? Because you practice, because you sit a lot. Yeah. Don't expect everything to just like fly and get all these, fast zooming results. But really put in the time and, and the energy and create the cause. Yeah. And just be so happy that you have the opportunity that you have to create the cause. If you create the cause, the result's going to come. Yeah. But if we're always looking, how come I'm not better? How come I can't do this? How come this? How come that? I should be able to already. If we always look at things that way, we're going to be forever, frustrated. And that mind itself is going to become an obstacle. Yeah. Whereas when, every time at the end of the day, if we just said, oh, I spent one more day kind of purifying and creating merit and learning, pat myself on the back, that's good, and I dedicate it, yeah, then you feel very happy at the end of the day. Yeah. And then that happiness builds, that satisfaction builds, because you're just, focused on doing what you need to do right now. You're not all, when's it all going to happen? Okay? So it's quite important. Quite important. Mm-hmm.
The other thing that has really become quite a deeper understanding of this is how hooked in I am to the happiness of this life. And so when you speak the way that you do, my mind so much wants to have it all now that the whole idea about creating cosmic conditions now not worrying about when they're going to ripen. Mm-hmm. But how much I want it now, and the happiness of this life to thrive so much in my own thinking.
Yeah. So you're saying that even if it's a Dharma motivation, you want it now because it's the happiness of this life. Yeah. And that thing of, I want to feel something now. I want to be happy now. It used to be from drinking and drugging and sex and rock and roll, but okay, I went off those, now it's Dharma, but I'm still looking for the immediate gratification. Yeah. So you're finding that just the mind that's habituated to thinking in that way actually causes you a lot of frustration and misery. And discouragement. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So that mind of wanting quick results that are going to make me feel better, make me feel successful, make me know that what I'm doing is useful. Me, isn't it? Yeah. Yo, 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 yo. Uh-huh.
And then we sat very quietly for 25 minutes, and
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're saying that there's a group meditation with Yangtze Rinpoche, and he came in and sat down. You meditated for half an hour, and at the end, he said very lovingly, "You Westerners are so hard on yourself." And nothing had been said, but, just the whole feeling in the room of, I'm here, and I'm here for a purpose, and I've got to attain, and I've got to achieve, and something's got to happen, and I'm following the instructions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this driven quality, just in the air, in silent meditation, where we're supposed to be peaceful, but we don't know how just to be. Yeah. Even we talk about, the four immeasurables. Do you know how to be and radiate love? Yeah. No, I've got to do this, and I've got to do this, and I've got to go here, and I've got to go there. The other thing, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes seems to be a middle way that we, I don't know, somehow we have to use the time useful, and otherwise you shouldn't be too strong with yourself.
Okay, so you're saying on one hand we want to use the time well, on the other hand we don't want to be hard with ourselves. Now it's very interesting that the way we think is, if we use the time well and if we're focused, the only way to do that is to be hard on ourselves. That is our assumption, isn't it? Yeah. The only way to make use of my time well is to be driven, to be hard on myself, to criticize myself if I get distracted. Okay. That's the underlying assumption in our culture. Is that true? Is that true? It's not good use of time? Why isn't driving ourselves a good use of time? Okay. Okay. So what shows you it's not a good use of time is the results you get from pushing yourself, which is you're more frustrated, you're more unhappy, you're less inclined to actually do anything. Yeah, and you're tired. Okay. So it's interesting how what we think we need to do is actually something that doesn't get us where we want to go, but produces the opposite effect.
No, not ever. No, because I experience when I'm listening and not distracted, I'm getting happy.
Yeah.
So it's not always that I'm tired or something.
Yeah. That's the point. That you can be very happy when you're listening and not distracted. But our assumption is that to get ourselves to listen and not be distracted, we have to push ourselves. We have to drive ourselves. Yeah. So what you're saying is absolutely right, that you can pay attention and use your time well and be happy at the same time. So that assumption that we have to, push and make it happen and tell ourselves don't waste our time, that is not true. Okay? Is that making some sense? Yeah? Uh-huh.
Partly, I'm just learning this concept that the tone of voice. I can say the exact same message.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't let your mind go there. You want to use your time this way. Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. There's that kind of mind that's trying to come back to my object. Or more in the center, I can see my mind going off, and I can just say, "This time you want to spin this out? No, it's that."
Mm-hmm.
And that's a totally different.
Okay. Yeah, so you're saying that the whole approach, that we can deal with ourselves is, oh, I'm distracted again. God, why is this happening? Get back on the object already. Come on, stupid, ridiculous mind. Or there's, oh, I got distracted again. Do I really want to spend the hour this way? No. Okay, let's bring it back. Yeah. So there's two different ways to talk to ourselves.
That's what it is about silent retreat. You get to hear how you talk to yourself.
Yes. Yeah, the thing in silent retreat is you're talking to yourself a lot. You get to hear it. Yeah. It's like we just often have a lot of false assumptions that we've never questioned. Like one big one people have is the only way to intercede when one person is being unfair to the other is to be angry. Yeah, we just assume that. There's no other motivation. So similar here too, there's no other way to get myself to focus but to, scold myself. Yeah. So we really need to notice those assumptions and question them. I had a friend who told me that, she had a hard time getting to the seat, the cushion. And most people, when they can't go to the cushion, oh, it's just so much internal civil war and guilt. And it's like, I should go meditate. I want to go meditate. But I just don't feel like it right now. You should. It's good for you. Come on. Go and meditate. And, and this whole way of guilt tripping yourself, oh, I'm such a crummy student, I can't get to the cushion, and I didn't do it yesterday, and I'm not doing it today, so I'm just giving up because, if I ask for help, then they'll know that I haven't been doing it, and, I don't want other people to know, so, and just getting so hard on ourselves. And my friend told me that what she does is she just talks to her mind as if it's a little kid and says, I know, Susie, that you don't want to go meditate, but we're going to go do that now. The same way that you deal with a little kid. I know, I feel so bad that, I know you don't want to eat your string beans, but, we're going to eat our string beans now. Yeah, and you just take Susie's hand and bring her to the cushion and sit her down. Uh-huh. Okay, so let's go on to the Bodhisattva. Especially any of these instructions and any of the things that we learn, we have to do again and again and again and again. you know. It's not a thing of getting an instruction and then you do it for 2 or 3 weeks and then the result should come and whatever was bothering you is instantly gone, you know. We have to really practice and transform the mind. Yeah. Okay, so we're on number 11. Okay, so here it says, when you have compassion, there is no non-virtue in the first 7 non-virtues. Or here it says, not doing non-virtuous actions of body and speech with loving compassion when circumstances deem it necessary in order to benefit others. Okay? So the 11th secondary misdeed is interpreted in 2 different ways in the great commentaries. According to one, when bodhisattvas moved by great compassion kill someone or accomplish any of the 7 physical or verbal non-virtues in someone's best interest, there is no fault. Okay? So the commentaries that give this explanation count, therefore, 45, not 46 secondary misdeeds. So here the idea is, one interpretation is if you're a bodhisattva and with loving concern, if you do one of the 7 non-virtues of body and speech, then there's no non-virtue in it because you're doing it with a bodhisattva motivation. And if that's the case, then they count it as only 45, not 46 secondary. Okay. The second interpretation found in the works such as Bodhibhadra's commentary is that in the appropriate circumstances, if bodhisattvas do not kill and so forth, they commit a secondary misdeed. Thus the fault lies in not committing a harmful action that is necessary for the welfare of others. Okay? So there's so the story that's always told is a story from one of the Buddha's previous lives when he was a merchant on a ship, and there were 500 other merchants going out, you know, looking for their wish-fulfilling jewel or whatever it was, and one of them was going to kill the 499 others and take all their jewels for himself. And the Buddha, as the captain of the ship, saw this, and with compassion for the 499 that were going to get killed, as well as compassion for the one would-be murderer, took it upon himself and killed the would-be murderer so that he wouldn't create that negative karma, and also so that the other people wouldn't die. So that's the story that's often told, okay, to illustrate this. Yeah. So according to the second interpretation is, if you were in a situation like that, then not killing someone would be a transgression of the secondary vow. Or if there's some other situation whereby, you know, stealing something or lying or something would be of the greatest benefit to others and you don't do it, then it would be this break. Okay. That's what it sounds like. And then, of course, we use it to justify, you know, our killing and stealing and lying and everything, because it's all for the benefit of sentient beings. Right. Okay. So let's go on with the explanation here. The misdeed concerns 7 of the 10 negative deeds. The 3 major physical non-virtues, killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct, and the 4 major verbal non-virtues, lying, divisive speech, cruel speech, and idle talk. Once we have developed very powerful compassion and spontaneous bodhicitta, do you hear that part? Once we have developed very powerful compassion and spontaneous bodhicitta, okay, which means spontaneous bodhicitta is path of accumulation, okay. When, to benefit another being, we perform one of the 7 non-virtues, it does not constitute a misdeed. Okay? This does not concern most of us, but it is important, nevertheless, to understand it. Okay. The Great Way elaborates greatly on the topic, and in particular on the circumstances in which bodhisattvas are allowed to perform these deeds without creating negative karma. When can bodhisattvas do things that are usually considered negative, such as stealing? The general principle behind bodhisattva practice is that the welfare of others overrides our own personal concern. Okay, the rule in the pursuit of Buddhahood is always to consider first and foremost what would be most beneficial to others, not to ourselves. In fact, only highly developed beings can perform harmful deeds without actually doing anything wrong. In every situation, they are sufficiently wise to determine when actions that are otherwise considered negative serve the cause of others. Moreover, their motives are entirely pure, for they have overcome egoism and self-interest. Okay? So, qualities of somebody who's able to do this. First, that they are very wise, and so they can look at situations and actually clearly determine that doing this would be wiser in the long term for more sentient beings than doing the other thing. So that, they're really very wise and can assess situations very well. And second of all, they have no self-interest or, egoism in their own motivation. It's strictly for the benefit of others. Okay? So you have to have that ability to be able to do this. And I'm really stressing this because, when you go and talk to people, and it's like, well, I did this and such because in the benefit of sentient beings, and but also it was just convenient to be the thing that I wanted to do. Yeah. Okay. At what level of spiritual development are bodhisattvas permitted to commit the first 7 non-virtues for others' sake? The Great Way explains that to be allowed to kill, for example, bodhisattvas must have strengthened their mind to the point that they dare to effectively exchange self and others, or in other words, actually take on their suffering. Okay? So they're at the point where if they're going to kill somebody, they can actually feel like they can experience the feeling of being killed themselves, and they're willing to take on that feeling. Okay? According to my precious master, Geshe Nawang Nima Rinpoche, from this one can logically deduce that the permission to commit the 7 non-virtues concerns bodhisattvas from the path of preparation up to, but not including the first bodhisattva level. Okay? So first bodhisattva level is path of seeing. So basically somebody who is on any of the 4 levels of the path of preparation. Okay? Why is that? First, because according to the ornament for clear realization, it is only once bodhisattvas have collected eons worth of merit on the path of accumulation by practicing the 6 far-reaching practices and have thereby reached the path of preparation that they have mastered the actual exchange of self and others. Okay, so to be able to do this, you have to be able to exchange self and others, which means that you're willing to experience what you're doing to somebody else. Okay, and that only on the path of preparation can one actually do that. Yeah? Yeah, we're going to get into that. Okay? We're going to get into that. At the other end of the scale, once bodhisattvas have reached the first of the 10 bodhisattva levels, or bodhisattva bhumis, it is no longer relevant to give them permission to perform these deeds, for all their actions are by nature virtuous. Okay. Although I think there's some discussion about that. There is much discussion on this issue, and it is important to give it a great deal of thought. Killing a living being is a serious act for anyone, even bodhisattvas. The Great Way adds that those who intend to carry out such grave deeds must not only be true bodhisattvas, okay, so you've really got to be a bodhisattva, having realized spontaneous bodhicitta, so you have to actually be a bodhisattva. They must also have trained in the 6 far-reaching practices at length and be motivated by very intense compassion at the time of the action. Okay? So it's not a Mickey Mouse bodhisattva. It's somebody who has bodhicitta, who's trained in the 6 far-reaching practices, and who can carry out the action with compassion. Okay? Furthermore, there must be no alternative solution to helping the being. This is important. And the deed must not harm the bodhisattvas. On the contrary, it must increase their merit. Okay, so there must be no other way to handle the situation, and it must be something that's not harmful to the bodhisattva themselves. Okay? Often, when you teach ethics, people dream up these incredible situations, Like, what would you do if somebody came in the house and held the gun up and they were going to kill your whole family? Are you telling me the Buddha says not to kill? It's like people think of these very black and white situations. Yeah? And it's like, do black and white situations really happen? I don't think so. Things are very, very nuanced. And there's, you have to think creatively. And what other ways can we deal with the situation? Yeah? I mean, you can see our government doesn't have a creative way of thinking of how to deal with situations. Yeah? You have to be really creative, not black and white. Okay? There is also some debate as to whether this instruction applies to both ordained and non-ordained bodhisattvas. And the answer that it concerns is that it concerns only lay bodhisattvas. That's interesting. What should ordained bodhisattvas do when they are faced with a situation where performing one of the 7 deeds would greatly benefit someone? So you're a monastic, you're a bodhisattva, and it would greatly benefit somebody if you killed somebody else. Yeah? Then what do you do? Because if you kill somebody else, it's parajika. Okay? So he's saying, since carrying it out would mean breaking their monastic vows and losing their ordination, which is very heavy negative karma, the only solution is for them to return their monastic vows temporarily and proceed to accomplish the deed. So they would give back their precepts and then do the deed. Yeah, that's the thing. Only monks can do it. The nuns can only ordain 1 time. The men can ordain up to 7 times. Although there's some discussion about that. But that's the way most traditions hold it. Another point of controversy is whether or not performing these deeds create negative karma. Okay, that's what you were asking. And before reading what he says, I've heard 2 different accounts. One of my teachers says that, when a bodhisattva does that, they don't create any negative karma, but they are creating positive karma because they're doing it out of the deed out of compassion. But I remember Sanjab Serkam Rinpoche said that to be able to do that, you have to be able to say, I am willing to create the negative karma of killing. Yeah, I am willing to bear the result of creating that negative karma. Because your compassion is so strong and your exchange for self and others is so strong that for the benefit of somebody else, you're willing to bear the result of creating that karma. So he said, actually, when you have that motivation, you create a negative karma, but by the power of your compassion, the result lasts just a split second. Yeah. But you're willing. Yeah. So that really gets rid of the way we do it, how we rationalize. Yeah. You have to really be willing to go to the hell realms to be able to do this. Okay. For the time being, however, what is most important for us to bear in mind is that a negative deed such as killing can only be performed with impunity by true bodhisattvas who have trained in the six far-reaching practices over a long period of time. Okay? Moreover, they must be entirely free of the slightest selfish motives and be motivated to act by pure compassion. If it is certain that the deed will create only good karma and not leave any negative traces on their mind, then the bodhisattvas are allowed to act. If they are ordained, however, before committing the action, they must return their monastic vows. Okay? It is important to understand this point, for some people imagine that bodhisattvas are allowed to do anything and have no rules to live by. Yeah. Others assume that in Mahayana Buddhism, we may do anything as long as our motives are pure. Okay. Hopefully it is now clear that this is far from true. Okay. Yeah.
I had to go back and look at the notes, but when we were getting the teachings on Bodhisattva in Taiwan, I don't know if it was this one actually, because they were quite similar, but the master then said, if your monastery is under assault, or you need to defend a large number of people, then you need to take the action that's necessary, including killing. And I was a little bit shocked, and of course I couldn't ask questions, but it was just interesting that that was the perception right there in the teaching, right? Direct about benefiting so many, like, ordained people, that defending the monastery was within the responsibility of the Bodhisattva.
Okay. So that you were saying that when they talked about this in Taiwan, that the idea of defending the monastery because you're doing something for so many ordained people was within the responsibility of a bodhisattva. Yeah. But there are different ways to defend the monastery, aren't there? Yeah, there's many ways to defend the monastery. Doesn't mean that you have to pick up a rifle. Yeah. Although you know, when the communists, the revolution was going on, some monasteries did that. Yeah. But, you really have to think carefully about that. And maybe if you have the feeling that, I'm willing to go to the hell realm in order to preserve the monastery and the Buddha Dharma. Yeah. But you can see that if you just said, oh, it's for the Dharma, so I'm doing it with compassion to preserve the Dharma, then you could get into a very us versus them mind. We're the morally superior ones, and they're the trash that's trying to destroy the Dharma, and they're morally inferior, so therefore it's proper to kill them. You don't want to get into that kind of attitude. That's dangerous, isn't it? That's very dangerous. Okay, I think we did one precept.